Khaleej Mahisti Rabia. Today's episode we are going to talk about and discuss the relations between both Egypt and Burundi. Allow me to welcome my guest today in our studio is Mr. Nzimana Musafir, who is a Burundian journalist. A very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
So, sir, allow me before we start, let's take a look on a report about the European Union which signs an economic partnership agreement with the Southern African countries. We'll be watching now the details in this report and then we'll come back to start our episode. Stay tuned.
The European Union and 6 countries of the Southern African Development Community SADC have signed an Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA, the first of its kind between the EU and an African region pursuing economic integration. The signature took place in Botswana. The agreement was signed by Commissioner for Trade Cecilia Malmström on behalf of the EU. She said trade is a tool to spur economic growth and sustainable development, adding that it's also an important factor for integrating regions and forming stronger bonds between countries. She also said that with the Economic Partnership Agreement, they want to base trade relations with their partners in the Southern African region on commonly agreed stable rules. The EPA with Botswana, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa and Swaziland, the so-called SADC EPA group, is a development-oriented free trade agreement. In addition to this agreement, other regional agreements could also soon be signed with West Africa and the East African Community. The EU, the largest trading partner of the SADC EPA group. In 2015, the EU imported goods worth almost $32 billion from the region, mostly minerals and metals. The EU exported goods of the nearly same value, consisting mostly of engineering, automotive, and chemical products. By signing the agreement, all participants commit to acting towards sustainable development, including by upholding social and environmental standards. The EPA also establishes a consultation procedure for environmental or labor issues and defines a comprehensive list of areas in which the partners will cooperate to foster sustainable development. Civil society will have a special role in monitoring the impact of the agreement. In addition, a detailed chapter on development cooperation identified trade-related areas that could benefit from EU financial support.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. We're still here in Africa Today talking about the relations between both Egypt and Burundi. Sir, I wanted to talk a flashback first. I want to talk about the relations between both countries in the past. And then we're going to talk about the present and how these relations developed over the years.
Burundi and Egypt, they are good in relation since Gamal Abdel Nasser, and nothing happened since that time. And the relation between Burundi and Egypt is going well until now.
So until now, I think everything is okay. But how the relations developed over the past years till the present?
Past years is good as Egyptians send some delegation to Burundi for to help Burundi for development, and sometimes Egypt brings some Burundians to study here or to train. Okay. And after that, if they finish, they go back to Burundi to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I want to talk about the economic side in Burundi, how's the economy over there? What kind of economy do you have in your country?
The economic is not bad. We use economic in tea and coffee and something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so sir, President Abdel Fattah Sisi met recently with the Burundian Foreign Minister Ala Aimé in Cairo to discuss the challenges and also the developments in the African continent. I want to know the significance of this meeting and its importance at that time.
The meeting between our foreign minister was about crisis in Burundi. In Burundi, we have some crisis for president to take the third term. So that when he came here, Egypt is trying to solve the crisis in Burundi for sending some delegation to talk to our president and other ministers in our government there in Burundi. Yeah.
So what's happening over there in Burundi? I mean, what's the crisis?
The crisis started when President Nkurunziza announced that he will going to take a third term of presidential. So some people refused to allow him to go there to take that third term.
So that's why, I mean, they rejected him coming for a third term in your country. Okay, and then politically things were not stable in that period. So talking back to the relations between both countries, Egypt and Burundi, I want to know the fields of cooperation between both countries now.
The cooperation is so good. It's so good, more than 50 years. More than 50 years, and we are and we are together. We share many things in changing some delegation, or to take some people from Burundi to come here to learn, or Egypt send some doctors or some people who can work there, or something like that.
Okay, so talking about you as a Burundian journalist, you're coming to live here in Egypt, or you're just coming here to study or something?
No, I work here in Egyptian television and radio.
But it's not masters, or I mean
not
PhD,
master.
something like
no,
that?
But I graduated from Azhar University.
So talking about your experience and how you studied here in Egypt and then you worked here in Egypt as a Burundian journalist, I want to know your experience coming here to an African country as well.
Okay, I came here when I was 14 years old. And after that I started in secondary
school. A very early age.
In 1999, and I started in secondary school. After that I went to Azhar University, Faculty of Languages and Translation. I graduated from there, and after that I went back to my country. After that I came to Egypt again, and I came here to work in Egyptian television.
Okay. And I see a lot of Africans actually, even here at the television building. I see many Africans coming, taking courses, knowing more about the relations between both countries, especially in the field of media. They're so happy with this training, and I know one in my country. His name is Karenga. He graduated from here for course 3 months. This one, and after that, when he went to Burundi, after 1 year, he went to work to DW Radio Swahili department. So it's something that it was something positive in his life. Coming here and taking courses and then going back.
And this course helped him to get a good job.
Okay. Sir, how do you view the relation between the African countries at the current period of time in general? Not just talking about Egypt and Burundi, but I'm talking about the African continent as a whole, and how the relations between the countries are affecting their lives. So what do you think about the relations between all countries in the African continent?
Oh, the relations is good, and we can say that they are trying to make it better, but the problem is from Western countries. Some Western countries are coming in our countries. Sometimes if you want to do something better, they don't allow you to do it. That's the big problem, and that will not make it be better because of the Western countries.
Okay, but how far would establishing the water projects affect the development in Africa countries, and especially how can Egypt and Burundi cooperate in this field?
What?
In the water issue. How can the cooperation between both countries, I mean in the water projects?
Water project. Water project, it needs water like what?
I mean the water projects. You know that the problem here in the African continent is in water.
Water, yeah.
Maybe this was a dispute between some countries. So how can Egypt and Burundi cooperate in that field?
In Burundi, it's so difficult to do that. In Burundi, we have many water, but our country economic and development is low. So difficult to make it.
So as we're talking now on the economy in Burundi, we'll be watching a report about the country's year-on-year inflation, which rose to 2.7% in May from 2.6% in April. As food costs increased slightly, we have the details in this report.
Burundi's year-on-year inflation rose to 2.7% in May from 2.6% in April as food costs increased slightly. The country's Institute of Economic Studies and Statistics said in a report that food inflation in the year to May rose to 2.8% from 2.5% in April. According to the report, Burundi relies now on domestic tax collection and modesty and coffee exports. Burundi's economy shrank by 7.2% in 2015 and is expected to expand by 3.4% this year. Burundi's central bank has signed a deal with Russia's bank to facilitate foreign investment in the African nation, which has been embroiled in a political crisis for more than a year and faced Western aid cuts. The agreement is a guarantee for Russian companies which are interested in the EAC through Burundi, referring to the East African Community Trade Bloc that groups Burundi, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and South Sudan. The deal was signed on the sidelines of St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. No further details were immediately available on the deal, but other African nations, including Mozambique, have turned to Russian institutions when Western donors or multilateral bodies have been more reluctant to provide funding. Burundi boasts few major foreign investments beyond its mobile phone business. The crisis has hammered an already struggling economy and caused a shortage of foreign exchange. Burundi has been mired in crisis since President Pierre Nkurunziza pursued and won a third term in office last year.
So we've watched now a report about inflation in Burundi, and I want to talk to our guest today about his opinion regarding the details in this report. Sir, how did you see this report tackling the main issue, especially about inflation in Burundi?
Yeah.
We've talked in this report about how inflation rose from 2.7% and it was 2.6% before. It was in May 2.7% and in April 2.6%. So how this happens, I mean,
the economic,
how it's affecting the country and the life in Burundi.
Yeah, you know now when our president announced to go to third term, West countries and America, they cut all the aid that they were giving to Burundi before. So that affected the economic in Burundi.
So talking about, I want to know the life in Burundi, how it's affected, since the economy you're saying it's not good in Burundi. So how the life over there is affected?
The life now is so bad. It's so bad, you know, the crisis, and many people fled from Burundi, go out, and businessmen left Burundi, and some politicals, so that affected in economic in Burundi. Even some foreigners left our country, so that affected it.
So, sir, last but not least, I want to talk about terrorism, which is negatively affecting all the countries, not just the African continent, but all the countries on earth. So I wanted to talk how the cooperation between both countries, Egypt and Burundi, in this field, especially in fighting terrorism.
Burundi, we have no terrorism, but our soldiers are in Somali to help Somali, because Somali is not far from Burundi. So if we saw some terrorists went to Kenya and make some problems there in Kenya. So if they go to Kenya, after that they'll go to Uganda, Rwanda, they'll go to Burundi. So that we sent our troops in Somalia, and in Egypt the same. We are trying to talk about it, but we know that Egypt is a good for fighting about terrorism, even its government.
Okay, sure. Mr. Nzimana Musafir, who is a Burundian journalist, thank you so much for joining us on Nile TV International.
Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, and this wraps up this edition of Africa Day. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye-bye.